Hey everyone, it is Amber here from the Gardening Sisters, and in today's video we are going to be potting up some dahlias that I got from Swan Island Dahlias. So I have 3 dahlia varieties. I am planning on buying more, but the ones that I plan on trying to get this time is, I think it's called Piece of Heaven. I ordered some dahlias from them last year. They're getting ready to restock their dahlias because I missed the first restock, so hopefully I can get all of the ones that I want. So we'll probably be getting another dahlia potting up video, but I am going to go ahead and do the 3 that I got from Swan Island Dahlias, and I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to be doing this a little bit differently this year. Last year I tried this and I didn't get any of my dahlias in my pots to bloom, only my ones in the ground bloomed. So I'm going in with a different mixture this time, and hopefully I will be successful this time. So we're going to go ahead and get into that, and that's what we're going to be doing today. Before we actually get started planting the dahlias, I told you guys I have 3 varieties. I got it in Giggles, Cutie Patootie, and Southern Belle. So I'm going to pop those up on the screen so that you guys can see what they look like at some point in this video. Swan Island, they send you this very helpful, and it's full of information, this little dahlia packet on how to plant them, what they suggest as far as even down to the mixtures, when to plant, potting in the ground versus in a raised bed versus in a container. It contains a lot of good information in here. I'm also going to put into the description box a video that I watched. I found this video a long time ago when I first decided that I was going to do my dahlias in containers last year, and it's a really quick, simple, easy guide. Now I'm going to do stuff a little bit different. Like, I'm not going to use the exact same products that she used, but I have switched up my planting mix this time based off of the recommendations that she used. And I also love that they give you actual plant markers, so I don't have to try and remember to create a label. They already have one. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start getting everything set up. So we're gonna go ahead and get into what is actually going to go in this pot. So all I'm gonna do, I wanna say about a half and half mix between this potting soil and the Scott's topsoil. Now a lot of people use compost. You can do a mix between garden soil and topsoil. There's a lot of different things you can do when it comes to potting these up, but there are some mixtures that are better. I'm going to use this potting mix because it comes with material that helps with like drainage, things to hold in moisture, and it's this potting mix is specifically, potting mix is specifically for your outside potting containers, and this one specifically says for outdoor containers. So that's why I'm going to use some of this, and then I'm going to just mix in a little bit of topsoil with this, and I'm just going to use my spade to kind of break this up some. Now, one thing I will not be using this time that I did use the first time that I didn't even know they recommend you not use is cow manure compost, because they say that it can burn the tuber. And I got all of my tubers sprouted last year in pots. They just didn't do well, but I feel like I have a better grasp on these as far as fertilizing schedules, what I actually need to be fertilizing with. This year we will hopefully get dahlias in all of our pots, and then we're going to go in with some of this Scott's topsoil. Now you want to make sure you get junk like this out. This is the only thing that I don't like about some of your bag mixtures. But in my area, this is the only topsoil that we have that I actually will even use, it's the best for me. So and I'm gonna firm it down just a little bit because I think this is where I want to place the dahlia. So all of your dahlia tubers from Swan Islands are going to come in one bag, and then they stamp the name of the dahlia on here. Just pack it in peat. So this one looks like Giggles. It's Southern Belle. My last one, which is Cutie Patootie. So they all feel nice and firm. None of these feel like they're gonna rot out because they're not small. They're not mushing, and you can see they just stamp the names on there. All of these dahlias consist of the actual body, the neck, and then on some of them the eye isn't visible. I always plant my dahlias on their sides anyways, unless I have visible eyes already coming out. But I can see a few here. I don't know if you guys can see them. Here's where some of the eyes look like they're starting to pop up, and then I can see here this was last year's stem. So I'm just gonna lay them on their sides if I can't see a visible eye. So this is Giggles, and because this dahlia is so small, I think I'm going to actually fill this one up a little bit more with my mixture before I put the dahlia in the actual pot. So just knocking those out. This is my first time actually planting dahlias from this particular company. Last year, the dahlia tour that I showed you, all of those dahlias came from Eden Brothers, and they actually were really pretty dahlias. So I'll link that garden tour. I'll link that dahlia tour down below if you guys do want to check that out. And I can say, just from looking at this, I like this mix. I like how this mixture looks a lot more than I did with my first dahlias that I planted last year, because I think last year I only went in with potting soil, and I don't even think that the potting soil that I used was a decent potting soil. So this soil actually feels moist as well, so I am not going to water this dahlia in because dahlia tubers hold water, and that's kind of how they get started. Now if this was dry, I would have put water in, but I am not going to do that this time. So this is Cutie Patootie. Two things I'm going to add. So I'm going to go in with our homemade bone meal, and we do have that on our channel as well if you want to see how we make ours. We didn't grind ours down, so it's not as well, we didn't grind it down completely, so it's not going to be as much in a powder form the way you would get some out of the store, but it still works nicely. So I'm gonna put a little bit of that in there, and then I'm gonna go in and add some of my Job's organic slow release fertilizer. I'm just gonna kind of work it into the soil a little bit. And then this looks like where they cut off last year's stem. So I may plant this standing up. I don't know. I could plant it this way, but I could also plant it sideways because I know that this is the bottom of the tuber. So I know that this is not where the growth is going to come from. It's going to grow from this area. So I may go ahead and just plant it standing upward like this, because either way, this is going to know, the eyes will be able to direct their way up. So that is all I'm going to put in here. Now before I finish, this stake is kind of wide compared to some of the other stakes that I use, but with a lot of my dahlias, those like bamboo stakes and some of those green plastic stakes that I use for some of my other flowers are simply not strong enough. And I'm just gonna try to firm this in. Hopefully this isn't too big, because I may have to just revert back to using a different one, but I'm sure this will be fine after I fill the rest of this with my next layer of soil. Okay, so now we're just gonna sprinkle about 1 inch to 2 inches on top to get that buried in nice and deep. And that's going to be it. It really is that simple. And just kind of pat these in. And like I said, I'm not watering these because they are not bone dry. And in this packet, it specifically says that unless your soil is bone dry, do not water. And I don't typically water mine in anyways. So that's the first dahlia, and that was cutie patootie. I'm just gonna put the label in here, and we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next one. One thing that I wanted to mention was that I forgot to show you all that I actually use small rocks to cover the holes in the bottom of my pots. So you want to make sure that these can drain properly. I feel like this will be more sturdy this way. And just like before, I'm gonna add some bone meal. And this is Southern Belle that I'm planting this time. Yeah, this one's a little bit longer, so I'll probably plant it on this side. As these start to grow, I may add more soil, but for now I'm just gonna leave them like this. And this is Southern Belle. And I'm getting ready to pot up this dahlia, but I wanted to show you, if you've never planted a dahlia before and you don't know what they mean by the eye, here is one right here. So because I know that that eye is right here, and I think one's coming in on this side as well, I'm going to plant this on this side because I can see that this is where they are. So to keep them from having to work any harder, I could also plant it this way, but I'm going to plant it this way so that they can just come straight up. But I wanted to show you guys this one because I did see the eye on it. All right, so the last thing that I'm going to do, I now have all of my dahlias potted up. I'm going to just take a little bit more of that Job's Organic, and I'm going to sprinkle it across the top and mix it into this top layer, because it's going to take a while for this, because it's a slow release granulated fertilizer. This fertilizer is not going to be readily available now, which is great because right now the dahlia just needs to focus on rooting and sending up shoots. So once this starts to break down, we should have our sprouts already, so that nutrients will be available when the dahlia needs it. And Swan Island recommends not fertilizing these anymore until 30 days after your sprouts start to come up. So my plan for these is once they first begin to sprout, I have that fertilizer in there. So I'm actually just going to kind of play it by ear, see what they're looking like as they start to develop. If I feel like the foliage needs a little help, I'll go in and add some of that fish emulsion, but I'll only do that maybe the first 1 to 2 times. And everything after that, once they really get going and after I pinch them, and I'll come back and show you guys all of that, I'm going to switch to a fertilizer that is higher in the P and K, so phosphorus and potassium, opposed to nitrogen, because we want the bloom and not so much the foliage. And then after that, I'm just going to take a few of these slug and snail pellets, because just in case they find these, they like to eat on the tuber. They'll eat the tuber up. So I don't have a big problem with them here, but if you live in an area that has a lot of snails and slugs, you're gonna want to go ahead and lay some of this down immediately upon planting these in the ground. And while I'm out here, I need to go and put some in my dahlia bed, because a few of my, well, I know for sure one of my dahlias have actually popped through the soil. So that is pretty much all we're going to do for these. All right, so that's going to be it for our planting our dahlias. As you guys can see, it really is pretty simple. You don't have to overcomplicate this. And I feel like last year, because it was my first year planting those in growing those in pots, usually my dahlias are in the ground, and I don't have to worry about it as much. But I think that I am just fine-tuning my process, and it was a lot simpler what I did this time. So I'm going to be giving you guys updates on those. Like I said, when it's time for me to come back and do my pinching of my dahlias, fertilizing, things like that, I will bring you guys along, or at least keep you updated on what I am doing. So again, if you want to see my dahlia tour from last year, it will be down in the description box below. If you also want to know how to make your own bone meal, which is what I used, then I will also link that video down in the description, where my sister showed you all a tutorial of how you can very easily make your own bone meal to be more cost effective with your gardening. So that is pretty much going to be it. I do want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do give us a big thumbs up. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and also turn on your notification bell so you'll know every time we post new content. And until next time, I will see you guys in the next video.